Welcome back to more Auction Not Included for our Beginner's Guide. Last episode, we went over kind of ranching Paku, kind of the quirks with them that make them a little different than other critters, and then just setting up kind of a basic sorter to start doing them at scale. Like I said, a lot of the flop sorting is based on the Paku plank design by Lumaplays, and we're gonna have to look it up. The Steam design for the original Starvation Ranch, I will include their credit in the description, just to kind of sort them so that our breeding Paku go in this tank here until we have 30, and then all our overflow and stuff will get stored over here. So besides just getting the Paku fillet, we're not really eating. We're gonna save that there for a later project. It never hurts to have a nice reserve of food. It should also help with getting more lime. Lime is going to be the main bottle. Once we get iron solved, lime will be the main bottleneck to our steel. Besides that there, just been getting more of the map explored. I've discovered most everything. Move one more tile here. We'll see what this is, and that's probably all the point of interest on space. But besides that there, we have landed on the frozen planet. This is going to be our current project, so I have explored around. I dug out the slime mold here, just kind of help get an atmosphere around here for some later stuff. And hey, we found George. We may pick up George later. One problem we are going to run into here is, I thought they were guaranteed. I guess they're not. We don't have crash satellites here, so radiation here is something we're gonna need to get. One, to open the temporal tear for the purpose of completing the game, as well as just getting our iron off this. So I think we're gonna do everything we can to protect this one Wheezewort. Just because it's not ideal, but if we throw down like 2 Radbolt generators, we'll be able to do like 100 rads a cycle, which is probably enough for the amount of iron we're going to make. But like I said, you are guaranteed a lot of iron volcanoes on this planet. So we have 2 up here, and then we have 2 down here. So we're going to do the 2 we have up here first, just because they are very close. And it was a thing I mentioned on not the other smelly planet, this smelly planet, is whenever you have a lot of volcanoes close, you can just kind of make combined cooling chambers. These ones are a little more spread out. They're not really level and stuff, is why I'm keeping them separate. Also, because I'm trying to maximize power here for a couple things, is why we're going to be doing them separate here. But if I was doing more industry here, like I want a bunch of metal refineries and glass forges and kind of a lot of the things we threw in here, then I would want to just make a big box and they'd make sure everything stays in Steam. We also got a couple slicksters to go, and we're slowly getting them because we are over the 20k. Natural gas isn't running at the moment. But we'll get this one going. We'll see if our CO2 is still going up or down. Then we'll expand to this one. Originally I had them up here. Rock crushers are a bit bigger than I thought. I'd have to reorganize this to get this one, but that's not a big deal. So what we want to do today, we want to try to get some of our radiation figured out, because we have to get the temporal tear charge. It's going to take a while because it needs 1,000 rad bolts. We also got to throw down some printing pods on our planets. This is one of the reasons you got to make a couple landings on planets. Normally, if you place a mini pod, you will not be able to move it again. I have a mod that makes these destructible. You know, it's a bionic planet. Let's make a bionic printing pod. We'll just get one here. When we come back to Toxona, we'll throw one down. We'll throw one here on Coldolan. I just gotta get one down for the sake of having one down. There we go. We'll put a frost emitting pod here. And then eventually, like I said, we're going to go back to Toxona. We'll throw one there. And then we got to go to The water planet, that'll be our 5th one. We have to have 5 down before we can open the tear. So, what we're going to do today is we're going to try to get these 2 Iron Volcanoes tamed and get our radiation in place. This will probably be a 2-part video. I was waiting for a couple things to kick on. But the reason it's worth to combine those, so if we look at our steam chamber, it's about 16 tiles. The thing once I get a lot of planets. Like I said, so be about here. Like we could dig out there and then dig out another one here. But what'll probably work better, just because they're kind of close to each other, we'll just combine them. So let's start working on that. A thing you can do, if you're really desperate for iron, like maybe over your iron, so now you can't get your tamers built and stuff, it's cold here. It's anywhere from -150 to -40 up at the top. This is why we brought ethanol for any liquid locks we got to make, and why we're keeping a lot of our liquids stored in the ship. We could just open these ones at the bottom and just let the volcanoes run free to get some iron. If you are doing that, you do not want to put that in your ship. Even out in the open, it will be very hot. You would want to bring a... find the module here. You would want to bring that back in a cargo bay or large cargo bay of some type. Means you would need to include a solid rocket loader and unloader at the respective ports. I found it the fun way. Don't throw the 200-degree iron into your ship. Alright, let's get this dug out. Our shape's going to be a little weird. We're going to want to grab a automatic dispenser. Get everything to sweep only. A lot of the stuff here we're probably going to keep in vacuum, but it's just nice to have an atmosphere here for some of these other things, as well as how we're going to cool these. We're not going, where it is so cold here, we're not going to include this kind of cooling system on Coldolan. We're just going to let the environment cool, which means the iron we bring back is going to be pretty hot. But if it causes issues, we'll just cool it once it lands. Because for the most part, all the iron's just going to live in the industrial brick anyway. Exploration got everything, so let's send them back. We just got this little area down here, and then we probably would have found everything on the map. We have definitely found everything of relevance on the map. Yeah, it's not the easiest of planets if we wanted to set up a colony here, because we don't have renewable water. So if we have a lot of liquid in general, we could just melt all this ice. It would last a very long time. We have sleet wheat for food, but you don't have to plan every colony to have dupe survive on it. You can just go, set up a system, and then don't worry about it. But there we go. We got... Right. You do have to tell them to activate your printing pods. This is the thing I mentioned, like, if you have balloon artists, until you have a pod on the planet, they won't actually do anything. But if you want a good spot in base design to throw down your printing pod, your mini pods, you want to put them in usually wherever your rec room is. Because for whatever reason, They really like hanging out by the printing pods. Just make it easy. I can kind of just do my skills from here now. Is my fart? Have I? Yeah, I think I got everyone skilled up. Okay. We got all of our stuff here. So, get a good amount of igneous. We could just do granite. I think we will just do granite because there's a lot of it here. I brought the igneous more just for safety. Annoying thing with this is I want this to be filled in because I don't want to end up with like material getting stuck in there. Don't want to wall this off yet. Then we're just going to set this all standard, sweep only. I don't know if there's sublimators here, but we're going to grab sublimators too. Now, the next thing I'm going to double check, I don't have sleet weight as an option here. So I'm just going to grab this fridge. This way we can move the sleet wheat out of the way easier. Because the last thing we want is that rotting and then messing up our environment. But yeah, even with our solar panels here, we got the wheels down for safety. You are trapped? No, you're just going to go hang out by the pod now. Probably should have waited to put a pod down here. I guess, to be fair, there's less radiation if they're just standing there. Alright, so we want to dig this out now. Annoying thing is going to be working on these when they're not erupting. There's a couple ways we could get around that. Did I bring coal? Don't have coal. We'll try some stuff. Should also... Yeah. I could... Can make this all a little bit thinner. Set this to sweep only, and sleet wheat. We get all the stuff moved out of here. Then I'm going to want a bottle emptier. Make it easy to move this liquid carbon dioxide. That's the other reason I wanted the oxygen in here. It takes a lot lower temp for polluted oxygen to freeze. So both of these are active, so we're going to want to cap them off. Actually, I didn't bring... Okay, there is coal on the planet, so that'll make things easier. First, let's sweep everything out, and then let's go in to George, because I need this coal. We're going to try to do this with the material I brought just in case, but if you ever have to cap a volcano, this is kind of how you do it. That's just because I have to get this to a vacuum and set some other stuff up. This to... Sure where I seen liquid oxygen at. No. Probably just have to mop. Not seen CO2 yet. Yeah, we're going to deal with the annoying thing of a lot of just random tiles spawning while we get the stuff out of here. Kind of fine with the CO2 being in there for now. It's more the ice melting I'm more afraid of. Are we getting... Oh, we're getting solid CO2, that's why. There's a thing I needed, because our Toxona one is using carbon dioxide for its freezing environment. So I would want to make sure if I set my defreeze, I don't want it colder than 34, or I risk the liquid or the CO2 liquidizing. I don't know what that would do to our deep freeze. And deconstruct these ladders. And I'm gonna need to put the tile over there for being able to get around the tile we're gonna put in. Double checking everyone does have improved carrying, and they do. Get all the ice out of here. Very weird how we kind of set up this first kind of bead lock, because I didn't set up our ethanol to be like 1 kg containers. Just a 5-ton jug. Okay, so we need to cap these off now. So an easy way to do it is use a temp shift plate with coal. We're also going to try doing this one over here in gold amalgam. Should also work. Because we brought gold amalgam with it. Gold amalgam doesn't work. Conveniently, we did have coal here, but that may be something you want to consider. Sometimes what you need to do is also include like a dirt tile, because it like drops weird. Because material should come out hot enough that it will just flip our template into, in the case of coal, refined carbon, and then the gold amalgam should become gold. All right, let's get the rest of the swept out. And we'll try to analyze while we're waiting. And just clean up some other stuff. You can see our template heating up. Fortunately, that did not work. So we will just do a coal one. I know a coal one will work. Get a little scalded from sanding the iron. There we go. Just instantly becomes refined carbon. Now, since the tile of interest is blocked, we do have a lot of really hot metal here. I don't want to sweep these. We're just going to relocate them. Conveniently, we got this one analyzed while we were waiting. We're just going to wait for that to cap off, and then we can start working in here. Fortunately, it is extremely hot in here now. But that's fine. There are some tricks we can do for that. And there we go. That's how you get a volcano capped if you accidentally released it. We're just going to wait until our stuff gets moved out of the way here. We do need things to cool down a little bit. We're just going to throw some ice plates, and that should help. I just don't want it too hot in here. Okay, we need to get this to a vacuum now. So let's get our gas pump. We have all our tiles kind of open. We'll get 2 pumps. We'll do them out of steel just because it is kind of spicy in here. Then for now we're just going to vent it out. Get our power. Take some free copper on this planet. So the thing to be aware once you get the pods down, checking where you're actually printing stuff out. Once we get this vacuumed out, we can block this off. I know why this is having issues. Because of how I set my stuff up. So let's get a battery down. Because I wasn't thinking there, the forge needs to be on the same side. I should put it on the same side as the battery module. That would have became very apparent with these 2 gas pumps. You can see there with this metal, eventually this will cool down to a reasonable temp. For now, it'll just slowly melt through stuff. I'm going to need to do this for later. It's built out now. Before that, though, let's make sure we're getting our stuff vented. Almost through all of our research. I think we'll wait till we get the rest of our research done before we send the exploration rocket again, because otherwise we have no researchers. This is gonna finally melt it because of these 2 pumps. Because temp shift plates exchange heat with basically everything in an area around them. That's fine. We got this into a little more reasonable of a temp. And we need the water in here eventually. Gonna make some things a little awkward. Not the way I wanted it to go. Get this mopped. I do not want the ethanol in here. Ah, that's why that ain't getting built. I'm used to things being less tall. I have some issues with the steam in here. Empty the ethanol to get a bead lock. Tile here just so ideally the water doesn't mess this up. Bit of a rough setup, but fine. Just wait for this to get vacuumed out now. You can see with Meep there, when you are working in areas where you're just going to be getting hurt a lot, so the betas, various volcanoes, when we get to the superconductive, be prepared that you may need to throw down, like, we may have to, like, clear these beds out, throw down, like, an emergency cot or something. Because you don't want to throw your cot out here, because even if visually it has them in the atmosuit, they are not in the atmosuit when in triage. Set this one here to also include water. Now we're just waiting for this to get vacuumed out. It'll take a bit because we have 3 different gases in here. Well, realistically 2. The steam should flip or delete eventually. There we go, our metal's already cooled down. We are also going to need this area to be a vacuum, so we can start blocking it out. This one a bit higher to get the water moved. Don't want this lock to break. Where I'm concerned about this failing on me, I should be doing more of a heavy lock. Especially where I have 5 tons of ethanol. But we'll just do a bead one for now. We can work on clearing this out. But the reason for doing this is because, like, we have to get the steam turbines and everything down, and unless we use a coolant, so we could use our ethanol as a coolant, because it does not freeze for a very low temp. It's not as good of a conductor as polluted water, so we might run an issue of our turbines overheating. But we don't want to have our cooling and everything outside because the environment's lower than what... the environment's too cold, so we risk our coolant freezing while it's trying to cool the steam turbines if they're not running a lot. So to avoid all that, we're just going to build it so our turbines are in a vacuum. And that way we don't have to worry about our coolant freezing. Conveniently, this volcano is very active. Once we do get things set up, it'd be easy to keep them going. The annoying thing, I can't just put a thing in to delete that tile. Because what's going to happen is the CO2 is eventually all going to go, and then we'll have to get this polluted oxygen. But because I can't build there, it'll take a bit. Suppose until then, let's figure out where we need to put our sweepers then. That one's going to have to go there. And this one goes here. And then what I want to do, I want to make sure the 2 conveyor loaders kind of merge. Because then we got to work on routing everything. I want to give them like an even amount of circulating heat from the 2 volcanoes. want to run that over the loader. That'll kind of sort itself out in a minute. So I don't want to put the loader here in case the volcano grabs it that way. Maybe we will just do it like this then. So, to make sure they load evenly, of course, an even number. Do something like that so we make sure our chamber is very full. Could evenly distribute our heat as well. Alright, we got this all built. So this will take a lot more steel than normal just because we're trying to do 2 volcanoes in one. Conveniently, with these ones, I have seen iron before, so I can get them set now. Was the annoying thing with the aluminum, is we had not seen aluminum before. And deconstruct the gas pumps. Just thinking, where do I want our aqua tuner? It's probably gonna be somewhere in these. Like, normally I like to put it by a wall just for routing our piping, but I think we're just gonna put it somewhere in the center. That way it's away from the volcanoes. Biggest concern with this bead lock is when we first get steam, our lock getting messed up. I really don't want to have to get back in here and clean this, but do what we can. I need to get a heavy watt. Go. Let's move our ethanol. This stuff. Construct here, and then I know that here is where we will put a heavy plate. I need to vacuum out this tile. I don't have to set up the kind of like double vacuum lock I did because there will be a vacuum in here, meaning this won't transfer heat anyway. Swap out now. We also want to get this high power wire out of the way. In a bit of a weird placement at a moment, but it's fine. And just get all this junk moved. No, I guess I'm gonna open up thing. Let me just do this out of heavy watt. I'm not gonna have that much power running here. Okay, so I want about 3 turbines. Normally I do 2 for 1. I think I could cram 4. Then I can't fit other stuff, so I'm going to do 3. Three like that. We put our battery here. And then we have our power transformer here. And then power goes down there. We need our shipping now, so we will need a conveyor shut off. Still. Even if we're not doing the cooling. Oh, we got research done. Research goes fast whenever I'm not waiting for like 400 material data science. Yeah, suit repair is kind of the reason why I like to take my building materials off the ship. It just limits how many times they're taking suits on and off. Because they lose a little bit of time. They have to wait for the suit to get air put back in. Let's wait for all this to get built, and then we got to put our not nullifier, our aqua tuner down. Let's do our conduction panels out of iron, just because I have a lot of it. Yeah, I don't want to be that close to the volcano. I think we will instead run them all through the one vent. Just to make sure they all flow correctly. I'm going to run it around like that. No, I deleted the conduction panel. We do need to use conduction panels in a vacuum. Okay, let's get this ladder out of the way. And we will set our aqua tuner here. So we are making it out of steel. Thermo sensor. So this one is probably going to get hot enough that we are going to want the turbines to run extra. I do want my plumbing out of igneous for what's in here. There we go. Bridges don't matter. Bridges don't really affect how well it will cool. This is the good old don't fry yourself 35 temp. Our ladder down, do that unreachable build. Or no, this can't overheat, so iron was fine. I was like, build out of steel, because I don't know how hot stuff's going to get here after a while. So we're just going to open air cool everything. We'll throw down a bit of metal tiles to kind of help, but... immediately, we do have any of the Wheezeworts that are near on granite we may take advantage of. Good old 90-20. Set our green signal if we're above 250. And then it does help. Okay, where we're not that close to stuff. Should be able to get away. Just doing iron in here for once. We're gonna hope. We might get punished for this, but the iron should be fine. With how fast it loses the temp. Like, we are working with liquid iron. Okay. Then we need a timer sensor. We'll have to combine the two to get going with that. And then we can now, let's take a look through. Everything has power. Everything is plumbed. Everything is automated. So let's get rid of these ladders. Can box off this upper area. I guess I gotta fill it from this side then if I'm boxing it off. So my concern is this igneous rock is pretty cold. Keep it polluted. When does polluted water freeze? Negative. We'll see how well this works. Stuff may be a little too cold. It'll normalize out once we start adding some heat. Okay. So let's start filling our lines. This is going to be polluted water. Then we also have to get our water in here. And I didn't bring water with it, but the easy way we're going to do that there. So if we rough this out, we want, say, 500 per tile. And about 22. So what we can do is we're just going to use ice temp shift plates. So we need 22 times 500. Calculator. 22 times 500 divided by 800. 13. I guess it'd be 400 because I already got 100 per tile in here. So 22 times 400 divided by 800. Oh, nice even 11. We'll go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And let's get this up to a 6, just so they fill it a bit faster. Once we're able to kind of get things running, I have a lot less concern about stuff freezing in the pipes, but it's just getting stuff going. We'll get some heat in, just because this refined carbon is very hot. Okay. These dug out and get them analyzed now. Line is full. Deconstruct this. Refine carbon out of the way. We just need the analysis before we close this off. I suppose that while we're waiting, we can kind of get our cooling figured out. Not sure how well this is going to work, but it's just something I want to try. Guess it is a good thing we're still allowed in here so I can fix this problem I missed. Oh, and I can put this in the grid, which will help keep stuff warm because of the large power transformer. The flaw I see to this plan later is probably the Weezeworts getting entombed. By entombed, I mean flooded. It'll help our water move. You just need this one to analyze so we can get everything closed off. Oh, why did the wart seed get taken out there? Well, I don't need these then, unfortunate. Just trying some different stuff. Okay, perfect. We got our data bank now. Is a problem. Just because the metal's coming out much too hot at the moment. That's the problem there. Okay, let's load back a cycle. That was the thing I'm afraid of once Steam started going, it was going to mess with that beat lock. So I think I do need to set up a heavy lock. It's just, can I do that before it goes off and messes up? Or it's more, can I get it analyzed and then get the environment closed off? We may just have to go back in after to kind of fix the stuff. It's just, it's a hard environment to work in. Oh, I don't think I can. Okay. Can we build a... Here's the thing, can I... Okay, good. So we at least have it closed off while I get this figured out. It's fine, we can get in here and fix the stuff after. But, like, once we have a Steam environment in here, that's a lot easier to work with. So, what we need now... I want them as igneous tiles, just so we're not losing a ton of heat. Okay, so let's build a correct lock this time. Okay. So we're going up to here, and I'm going to do that. Put this out. That is what I get for trying to shortcut the lock. Mostly but trying to work with these while they are active. I should have left this one uncorked, or corked until I was done. There we go. We will just deconstruct these instead of repairing these. Because that way they, because that flashed high. While we're waiting for everything to kind of just kick on. Okay, so I think we got enough in here now. While I'm waiting for stuff to get up to temp. And then we just gotta get a ladder in here. Kind of the risk of putting them up this high. They're not in the water to cool. Can at least get... Let's figure this out for now. So, 0.2859 plus 0.3268 We divide 20 by 0.06127. Oh, no. I did that wrong. 20 divided by 0.6127. Okay. So green duration 1, our red duration would be 32. And then use some of this wolframite. Can't get the data bags out of here now. Steal it here. Now it's lost most of the temp. Okay, so for now, more just because I need it out. We are using a lot of steel for this, but like we have more. Using steel to get steel. To get our Paku up to 30. Do have a gulp egg in here. Like we do have some issues of fish. We got a couple that kind of got stuck out probably while this was filling. That's fine, they're not crowded. These ones here will starve off before they're able to reproduce. Like these ones kind of fix their own problem. Ah, that's how they're getting stuck. Or how they're getting out. I shouldn't have put the door there. I should put the door that way. How is it an unreachable move? Oh. Doy. There we go. We got our iron going out now. The iron can stay in. Up the rest of this while we're at it. We're just the slow process of just waiting for it to get up to temp. It's probably jump up a lot because we got a bunch of Pacus stuck in the door here. See there, we are making a lot more surf and turf. Look here, igneous rock is the only material I'm kind of concerned with at the moment. You know, lull for our Drecos. Kind of what happens if you just don't make excess incubators. Take a little bit to kind of repopulate. Where this is moving now, we are going to be getting a lot more of our heat out of the material that's in here. Temps it coming out at? It's coming out at like 40 degrees. I don't know how well this whole Wheezewort system is going to work, but we're going to try it. It's mostly getting there. Get our last research, then we can make a rec room. Get this fixed. What I get for kind of doing the vertical door. It's always kickstarting volcanoes take a bit. Just because of how we staggered this here, it takes a bit for this iron to go in, but it should be adding more now that it is higher up. We just have to wait for our steam. open this up, and then maybe Dupes will figure the stuff out faster. I think it was just some unreachable projects. Yeah, I had a lot of Paku kind of stuck there. We'll be a little over. We'll just cull them. Green signal if below 30. I don't want to constantly have 41 in here. Let's get this cleared out and then get this back down to 30. There we go. We'll lose a little bit of Paku fillet, but that's fine. Still got lots of berry pie. Got entombed here. The polluted water. Slowly getting there. See if we can get away with our auto sweepers again. So let's make a save. I think what messed it up on trying to get stuff going is where I put the temp sensor in, but because that temp sensor heated before we had a steam chamber, it was cooling too quickly. I set you to iron. Are you going to fry yourself immediately? Not for the most part. Where everything is cold here, I want to try doing the environment cooling. But water is chilling too, which is more my main concern as those pipes breaking and messing up the system. I think if we get one more eruption, we're probably good. Just gonna make another save. We'll worry about setting up our rad platform on the next episode. Because that's going to have to run for a while. I can start getting some of it down with the materials we have left. I know they're going here. Don't like that this is only on ice. Yeah, Gulf Dry is like very cold water. So much food poisoning in our water. A lot of it's from running gunk right through. Same with our washrooms are running directly through. We are making much more lime, which is the big reason I wanted to set that up. And there we go. We have all of our research done, which means I don't need these anymore. Don't need this anymore. Don't need these anymore. Don't need this anymore. We don't need these. Well, we may need these for things, but for now, we don't need our rad bolts. We don't need our research. We'll make a nice rec room. Yeah, it was like a weird graphic thing with dupes. Big concern is this ethanol messing things up now. Maybe I don't need a save. Let's block this off before I lose a bunch of my steam. Maybe I could have probably gotten away with petrol. Okay. So now... I guess I left this ladder in here, but that's fine. Need one more eruption, then it should all be good. I at least have the smart battery and the power transformer kind of constantly doing heat, so those should be able to keep my liquid from freezing in the pipes. Take a look. How is... Woo, what happened here? I know exactly what happened here. Forgot to put this vent in place. Okay, so I think we'll go back, get that fixed. Yeah, the million other problems I had here. Forgot to be venting out my CO2. It's enough here. Get that down. I think we'll head back. Get our ship repaired, pick up a few more materials, then we can work on our radiation next episode. So, for that reason... that'll start pumping out. It's going to take a while for this to kind of normalize. I think it's a good point. We could just head back. Pick up a few more materials. It'll let us set up more stuff. But I definitely don't want to have them left here. Summon our crew. Acknowledge our warnings. And then begin the launch sequence. And see how much stuff just breaks. There we go. We got lucky with that. The thing I never think to add is putting the vent so this pump actually works. For the most part, it didn't get to the point for the O2. The oxalate will just delete the CO2. But it'll take a while for this to get dropped out. Undock our suits. And once they land, we'll just manually throw them into the suits. There we go. We got this running. And all our stuff. We have the iron. We just have to work on getting the iron off. We'll make a trip back. I wanted to avoid making a trip back, but that... we got a little sidetracked on trying to get this to work. Are we there to the point? There we go. She's all steam now. Hopefully this holds by the time we get back. It'll take a couple cycles. We'll get our stuff normalized. We'll come back here, and then it's going to be getting the tear opener going. There we go. Kind of a double volcano setup. A couple weird issues. Like I said, it's weird to work in the cold environments because it's a little too cold. It's warmed up a fair amount. I probably could have got away with petrol, which would have been safer. We got our first one. These two might be a little more weird because it's like a negative 100 down here. We don't have to get these two. We're fine with these. We're getting enough iron. But now we got to get it to our main planet, which is the next problem we have to solve. But unfortunately, we don't have the easy solution like we have here of being able to use a satellite. System is working very well here. We get some stuff in tune. Most of it kind of fixes itself after a while. You can see here, lots of heat. Betas are still working well. But, small disaster here. We'll get this fixed, and then be back to finish up setting the ice planet. Anyway, that's it for this episode. Thanks for watching.